tonight. Orange and blue in every sight. Rubber CP on the mic. Postgame show about to strike. Fans are roaring, feel the cheer. Queens of York, the atmosphere. Hype the crowd, they're never tame. Let's post-game show brings the flame.
What's up, Mets fans? Welcome back to the Mets post-game show right here on the channels and on X. And unfortunately, the New York Mets cannot sweep the Detroit Tigers in the finale of the series. Lose 6-2 as some more bad pitching arises from the New York Mets rotation and bullpen. And the New York Mets offense kind of struggled a tad. They had opportunities, but again, they always can't score 5 or 6 runs. And once again, the Mets had to score at least more than 5 runs just to win a ball game. Chris, how you doing?
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. You see what happens when the Mets offense can't get the job done. You see what happens. It's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, Clay Holmes. We got to talk about Clay Holmes. We got to talk about Clay Holmes in this rotation because that's an inexcusable start. I mean, really, with the way that he was going and then the way that he finished it out, that's inexcusable. Send Ryan Helsley to the moon. Send him to the moon, dude. There's no, when I talk about on the pregame and then yesterday the postgame and then the pregame before that, when I talk about Mets fans and Ryan Helsley and this organization blowing the tipping of pitches out of proportion, you think this outing right here has anything to do with him tipping pitches? No, it's what Keith Hernandez is telling you in the broadcast booth. It's because he cannot locate his pitches. Point blank, simple. Don't want to hear about this tipping of pitches garbage anymore out of Ryan Helsley. He's been garbage about locating his pitches, and he's getting hurt because of it.
Yeah, it's just amazing. I mean, I know people don't want to see Helsley in the game. It's just hard when there's not many guys you can go to, and you can't blow up your bullpen every single day, and that's the issue. Brooks Raley could have been available, possibly. Gregory Soto had to pitch an extra. What he pitched in and in 2/3. So he tried to spread it out, but again, there's nobody you could. It's hard to get to Edwin Diaz. I know it didn't make a difference today, but it's so hard to get to Edwin Diaz with this bullpen. I mean, there's not a lot of guys you can trust. Can you, other than Diaz, because he doesn't count until the 9th inning, can you count 2 guys that you can actually trust in this bullpen? You can
Brooks Raley and Tyler Rogers. Yes, I can.
That's it. That's it.
And Rogers can go multiple innings, though, Rob. This is why I don't understand from Mendoza.
But Chris, you know what's going to happen. They're going to overuse Rogers, even though he has a rubber arm. He's gonna start deteriorating. He's gonna start pitching badly, and he already pitches to weak contact. Eventually, they're gonna catch up to that slow pitches that he throws. Like, I understand. Look, I'm not happy that Helsley's in the game, but it's the same reason why Stanik's in the game. There's nobody we can trust. Like, if you want to throw Tyler Rogers every day, go ahead. But you're gonna get bad results more often than not, considering that he's gonna pitch 5 out of 7 days. That's the problem, Chris.
I'm not really asking because I don't even think that the Mets have been using Tyler Rogers like to the highest degree possible. But especially in this situation where you're looking at an off day tomorrow, there's no reason in a 1-run ball game that you need to see Ryan Helsley or anybody needs to see Ryan Helsley in this game. Absolutely no reason. And so, I'm talking about this game in particular. Yeah, the long-term plan of using Tyler Rogers and just basically as an Iron Man out of this bullpen is not a smart move, but I'm talking about close out this series specifically. You're going to get Reed Garrett back within probably the next week, I would have to imagine, because he went down, I don't know, let's say a week ago from today, and you are on the fast track to get Reed Garrett back. I know nobody's probably excited about that. Reed Garrett's kind of been overused and he's fizzled out, whatever, but that's a major bullpen piece that you're going to be getting back. You got to find a way to get to next week. And I'm sorry, Helsley has not been it. Like, you just can't have that happen. You know what? I know it's not the ideal move, and the manager probably would disagree even with what Helsley's been doing, but I would put in Hagenman over a guy like Helsley. Like, come on, give me a different look than Ryan Helsley, because this is the thing. It's like if he's tipping pitches and he hasn't figured it out, shouldn't be in the ball game. If he's not tipping pitches and he can't locate, shouldn't be in the ball game. If he's tipping pitches and can't locate, he shouldn't be in the ball game. Point blank, period. You know what I mean? And so
Well,
I think
you know
that
what?
this game could have been a lot different had Clay Holmes held up his end of the bargain, not had Gregory Soto come in that fifth inning, have Clay Holmes now walk 2 hitters in that last inning and save the bullpen for the next turn, the next inning, and also Ryan Helsley in that decision. I would much rather have seen Tyler Rogers. I don't care how often he's thrown recently. Give me Rogers in that situation. That's it. That's the
Well,
bottom line.
well, you know what? That's the problem right there. Clay Holmes, right? Clay Holmes led to the decisions of what Carlos Mendoza had to do. Do you think he wanted to use Gregory Soto in the fifth inning because Clay Holmes couldn't finish it? No. Like, that's the problem. This is the problem with people that are like, oh, it's okay for Clay Holmes to go 5 innings. No, it's not. Not with the bullpen you have right now. Not with Reed Garrett out, not with Stanek and Helsley being a complete disaster that they shouldn't even be used. But again, who else is left? That's the problem. Like, you know what? Throw Diaz in the 6th inning then. Let's see if we can get to a 9th inning, because that hasn't been the case. The Mets have been winning games despite Diaz coming in and closing games because they've been scoring a ton of runs. Like, this is the issue. Like, the whole problem starts with the rotation. Again, like, Mendoza shouldn't be making these goddamn decisions every single day. 5 innings isn't good enough. Everybody wants to talk about 5 innings as a quality start. Leave that shit on another channel. I'm sorry. I don't want to hear that no more. A pitcher, if you're not a starting pitcher until you go 6 innings. If you can't consistently do it, you're a fringe starting pitcher who probably should be a bullpen arm. I'm sick and tired of it. Why is it okay for Tong to do it, or Tong, who probably will do it, and you see McLean do it, even when he didn't have his best stuff? Like, and Holmes wasn't bad, but he wasn't good. He wasn't good enough. This is the problem that we continue to talk about. Like, Manaya and Senga can't even go through 4 innings. Holmes is hanging out for dear life to get through 5. And then every day we have to use our best, our high leverage guys earlier in the game. And then when it comes down to using Stanek and Helsley or Hageman or this guy or that guy, none of them are good enough. So we're falling into the same situation over and over again. Helsley is a problem because when you're in the game, you got to execute. No matter who's in the game. I don't care who Mendoza calls. Because if it would have been Hageman in the 7th inning and he would have gave up the 3-run homer, everybody would have been asking for somebody else. It happens every time. Just because Hageman got a couple of outs after Helsley when the game was already basically out of hand, I don't want to care about that. I don't want to see Hageman either. But that's the problem. The starting pitching allows this bullpen to be so bad because they continue to use constant guys that they shouldn't be using so early in the game. The guys you trust, because even if Reed Garrett was in this game, where do you think Reed Garrett would have came into this game, Chris? He would have came in right after Holmes came out, because that is the Reed Garrett spot, because he can pitch multiple innings. He would have pitched in the 5th and 6th inning, and then you might have had Gregory Soto for an inning, great, but you still have the 8th and 9th to navigate as well. And if you don't have a lead, Diaz is not coming in the game. So you're gonna still saw Helsley. You might have seen Rogers, maybe, but you would have seen one of those guys that we don't want to see. And it doesn't matter what game it is, you're going to see them. So it starts with the starting pitcher once again not doing their job. Why can't starters go 6 innings? I watch baseball all day. I see all these pitchers go 6 innings, and it's not every pitcher in every rotation. I know that. But every time I'm watching the game, I see a guy go 5 2/3, go 6 1/3. Like, it's constant. The Mets, if you look at their lines, 3 2/3, 4 2/3, 4 innings. This is the problem. 5 innings doesn't cut it for me. I'm sorry. Holmes should be in the bullpen. I said this 2 months ago. It's a waste of time having Holmes start games because I think he's being wasted, especially when you have no 8th inning guy. Yes, Rogers, but you need him for the 6th and the 7th because nobody else is pitching well and starters can't go deep into games. So that's the problem, Chris, all around.
I've said the same thing about Clay Holmes. I'm like, take the win where you get the win. He had a decent run as a starting pitcher this season. He's more than doubled his innings already this season, and you're just not getting the production, and you won't get the production from him, I'd have to imagine, down the stretch. Take the losses or take the wins and go and move him into the bullpen. I said the same thing that you're saying right now, but can we actually figure out and understand the reason why a guy like Nolan McLean can go ahead and get off to a rough start, throw 20 plus pitches, and still end up efficient 90 pitches over 6 innings? Can we assess why he can do that and Clay Holmes can't? It's because Clay Holmes can't strike a damn batter out. He's got no put away stuff. Neither does Peterson for the most part. That's why Peterson has also struggled as of recent. These guys are contact pitchers. Clay Holmes relies heavily on the ground ball. And if you're going to be a contact pitcher, I said this exactly in the pregame, exactly verbatim, word for word. I said, if you're going to be a contact pitcher, you can't walk 3 hitters in 4 2/3 of innings pitched. You can't do that. If you don't have the put away pitch to strike out the next batter and get yourself out of a jam, you can't do it. And Clay Holmes does not have that command just yet. Next year, Clay Holmes can work on some stuff. Maybe he has the command. But I'm talking about this year. He does not have the command down the stretch as a starting pitcher, and he doesn't have the put away stuff. He's got a strikeout rate that's 18%, well below league average. He's not inducing strikeouts. And when you put continuous hitters on via the walk or base hits, whatever, you need to come back and fight back with a strikeout, a put away pitch. Nolan McLean has it. I'm sure Jonah Tong has it. We'll see if he actually does. But that's why Nolan McLean can do it, and a guy like Clay Holmes cannot. Yep. And that's the bottom line, and so that's the most infuriating thing for me to continuously watch. And it's just kind of, for me too, when you take a look at Gregory Soto, you come into the game. Yeah, you came into the game a little bit early. You don't want to be in that position. Runners inherited, first and second, and wild pitch. First of all, can't have that. Like you cannot come in there and not even give your catcher a chance to catch the ball and putting in the backstop. But the other thing is I forgot what the count was. I think it was 3-2, maybe it was 3. I don't know what it was. But that pitch that Riley Green hit, I believe it was Riley Green off of Soto, right in the earlier stages of the ball game. He threw a fastball. He threw a fastball to Riley Green, right? His fastball is great. It's electric. But he literally threw him, I want to say, 3 sliders prior to that in that same at bat. And Riley Green looked like he didn't know what to do with it. He was just holding on for dear life, waving at it, trying to foul it off. And so I understand the difference in a look to try to catch him off balance. But the same thing that Riley Green did to Ryan Helsley 2 games ago, jumping on his fastball, that's 98 plus miles per hour, is the same exact thing that he did with the hot shot up the middle that Lindor couldn't handle. And there's no sense in blaming Lindor, because I know that people are going to try to do it. There's no sense in blaming Lindor there. It was a big hop, can't handle it. That was smoked off of the bat of Riley Green. So it's just the decision-making and the pitch selection. We talked about it in Nolan McLean's start as well. When he first walked his first 2 hitters, not great pitch selection. You got a good fastball, use your strength. Gregory Soto, I'm sorry, I know you have an electric fastball, but your strength is your slider, and especially against a hitter like Riley Green, use it. It's not rocket science.
Yeah, it's pitch selection.
That I had to point that out because it was infuriating.
Again, when you get a guy like Soto, like who's calling the pitches there? Because like some guys, the catcher calls the pitches, the pitcher likes to call the pitches with the pitch comment, all that. Who knows who's deciding to make that pitch? But I mean, when you see, just like you said, when you see a guy struggling to hit that pitch, why are you going to something that he can probably hit, which is the fastball? Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, I'd rather a pitcher go for their best pitch in a big spot than throwing your second best pitch or your tertiary or your third best pitch and get hit. It just doesn't make sense to me. Like, if Ryan Helsley was, nobody can touch his fastball because he was locating it, why throw your slider? Like, it goes for every pitcher. But again, it's pitch selection. It's just, they're just not good enough, Chris. I'm sick and tired of all of these guys. Like, all these guys are professional relievers. Some were good, some were okay coming towards the Mets. Like, Helsley was a really good closer for the Cardinals, but we talked about his whip when we got him. That was always concerning. We talked about that. Not saying that we thought he was going to be this bad, But I don't think anybody thought that. Like, we thought we got a really good addition here. Like, nobody can say now that we didn't like that trade. We all did. But the whip is the same thing we talked about with Senga. He puts a lot of people on base. He is a guy that puts people on base. He doesn't give up a ton of hits, but he walks guys. And that is the issue that you can see with Ryan Helsley. And it's not even that, because he's given up. I mean, he's putting on people on base because he walks guys. He gives up hard hits, everything. But it's just it's not good enough. And these guys aren't overused just yet. But let's be honest. Go through the games from the day we got all three of these guys. Let's put Soto in the mix of the three guys we traded for. Even though Soto was a week before the trade deadline. All three of these guys, they've probably been in more games than any other relievers over the last month. Like, I guarantee you they're top of the list. And it's probably not going to be innings because it depends on where they are when it comes to, but I guarantee you they're in more games than mostly every reliever from that time of the trade deadline, let's say August 1st until now. Like, that's the other problem. Like, Mendoza has to consistently go to his best guys early and often. And like, what is surprising these hitters anymore? Like, you continue to go to the same guys over and over again. Like, what do we have? An 8-man bullpen? We use the same three or four guys every single time because that's the only couple of guys that you can actually go to because they're supposed to be good, and two of those four are actually can be trustworthy. Soto was in that circle of trust with Rogers, and then Soto kind of sneaked out of that circle of trust, and then Garrett was, but then he was messing up, and then he got hurt. Like, it's just I just think they're at this point, I think they're just overused, and the big reason why is because of the rotation. Like, I hate keep on bringing it up because I know it's a dead topic. Well, it's not a dead topic, but it's just a topic that I like to bring up every single time because I think it's a trickle down effect. The rotation can't continue to do what they're doing, and unless it's McLean, you see we only have to use 2 pitchers when he pitches. When anybody else pitches, we got to use 4 or 3 guys that have to go multiple innings. So they're either not available or they might be available, but only for 1 inning. So they're already overused within the series. It's just, I just don't understand it. I think it's the way they set up this rotation. And again, I said this all the time. When you want to go the cheap route with the rotation, you're going to get cheap results. And that's what the Mets are getting. I'm sorry. Your big money acquisition that you re-signed in Sean Manaea has given you nothing. Senga is here, but he's not a Stearns guy, but he's making $15 million. You gave $13 million to Clay Holmes, not knowing if he can, handle a whole season and still pitch well. When he's basically, you can see he's hanging on for dear life in the 4th inning. Was everybody shocked that he got out of the 4th inning? I was, because that's usually where he blows up. So that was a good sign. But then in the 5th inning, he just couldn't do anything, and his pitch count wasn't high. Like, it's it's just annoying. Like, I see teams around the league, Chris. I'm sorry, I keep on ranting, but you see teams around the league that actually have top starters. I know Nolan McLean, it could be that guy, but you see it all the time. These guys pitch every 5th day. These guys go 6 innings on almost at every start basis, and they give you good quality starts. Once in a blue moon, they'll give you a 5-inning, 3-4 run start, but most of the time they're giving you 6, sometimes 7 innings, and the Mets don't have any of that. Nolan McLean just got here, and he's proven that it can be done. We're allowed to do that. And not paying somebody to actually do that for your rotation and have a bunch of reclamation projects and question marks. Why are we expecting anything different? We should have all expected this type of nonsense. Probably not from Manaea, but from Senga. I always thought he was a question mark, and the rest of these guys we brought in, it's just a huge problem, and it's not gonna get better. I don't think it is.
Yeah, Telly's asking you what's the name of the pitcher that you wanted. I mean, I wanted
Burns
Max Fried.
wasn't hurt when
I was
he was a free agent.
I wanted Fried. I know Fried got a mega deal for the type of pitcher that he is, but I mean, he's doing really well in the Yankees uniform, 2.98 ERA. He just won his last 3 starts have been 6+ innings, with the last 2 starts being 7+ innings. I wanted Fried. But you know what? I mean, that's a moot point at the end of the day. I think that this game specifically shows you how much Mendoza doesn't trust Clay Holmes,
Correct.
right? Because 85 pitches, you're in a jam. There is a very solid argument to be had for leaving Clay Holmes in that ball game for one more batter to try to figure it out. That was that there's an argument for it. Now, I'm not saying that he made the wrong decision because, again, with Mendoza, how can you trust your starters when they've been doing whatever they've been doing? And let's say Mendoza did leave in Clay Holmes and he, gave up a gapper or just a base hit in general. Everyone would be killing Mendoza all the same. So I definitely agree with that. Like, there's no reason to get on him for that. But for me, it's just eye-opening because 85 pitches, you at least think he's got one more batter.
Yep.
It's I mean, to get out of the trouble that he got into, but with a couple of walks, like it's just not feasible. I do think Clay Holmes also got a little bit lucky with some plays in the field. I know Alonso, there's a couple of weird double plays, especially one with Alonso that was hit right at him, doubled up the guy on first base, so that helped him be a little bit more efficient with the pitch count. But yeah, I think for the vast majority of this bullpen, overuse is definitely like the one thing that you can point towards because of the starting pitching outside of Ryan Helsley. Ryan Helsley, he doesn't get that excuse. He doesn't get that excuse because I don't think Ryan Helsley has been overworked, right? Stanek doesn't stink because he's been overworked. Stanek just
No.
stinks. You know what I mean? And so at some point, whether it's Ryan Helsley not adapting to playing in New York now and getting away from St. Louis, a bigger market team, a guy that's originally from the Midwest, I think he's from Oklahoma. Like, I don't want to make that excuse for him either, but it is a different environment. Some guys aren't cut out to come to New York and play baseball at a high level. Maybe that's the case for Ryan Helsley. Maybe he goes elsewhere this offseason and just turns it around completely. I don't know what it is, but that's something that you just cannot have happen. And it's just another problem on top of what the Mets were already facing, even at the trade deadline. And it's unfortunate. I mean, the booth said it. Gary said it. The Mets thought that they were getting a airtight bubble of a bullpen with the guys that
we all did.
we all did. We all did. You know what? I'm not going to I made a whole tweet, an hour, 2 hours before the Phillies got Duran at the trade deadline. I was like, okay, that's fine. Go get Helsley. I said that, me personally. I wanted Helsley.
Yeah.
I wanted Helsley, but I didn't think it's going to be this bad. And he wasn't this bad this season, earlier in the season for the Cardinals. Nobody could have foresaw this. Nobody.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's brutal, Rob. It's brutal.
It really is. And it's unfortunate because, we are in a good spot in the wild card, right? I know we're not, in the spot we probably want to be in. We're only a game out of the second wild card, or game and a half now that we lost. Like, we're in a good spot for a postseason appearance, with 22 games to go. So, and we're talking, and this is the problem. But I mean, let's be honest. We just took a series against one of the better teams in baseball, right? We did, right? The Detroit Tigers, do they look like an 80-win team? Not really, right? They didn't. They didn't look that good the last two games. They didn't really look good until Helsley gave up the 3-run bomb. Like, if Marte don't hit into that double play and gets a base hit, we take the lead in that sixth inning, I think it was, right? So it was one hit that we didn't get and they did. So this is a team that has 80 wins, probably on the road to 90 plus wins, and we took 2 out of 3. And again, if we keep on taking serious here, we're going to have no problem making the playoffs, right? We're facing the Reds, who are playing in about 2 hours from now, or probably around an hour from now, and the Phillies as well. So we'll see where we stand. We might still be 5 games up or 5.5 in the division. We'll see by the end of the day. But we get the day off tomorrow, and we're getting a Reds team that's going – look, they played the Blue Jays very well. Like, the Blue Jays basically buried them in the early part of the game, and they came back each time. For the first game, they actually came back and won. Yesterday, they fell short, but they did come back in the game. So that's a team that don't think that you score a lot of runs. You could be up 5-0 in the 4th inning. That team comes back. So you got to be careful with that. They got Abbott pitching in game 1 of that series. And I think it's Lavolo, I think his name is Lodolo. I forgot his the pitcher that was scratched because he was sick in the Blue Jays series. Now he's probably going to pitch in the series against the Mets. So now we're going to have Abbott and that kid as well. So they're going to have good pitchers going. And I think the Mets hitting can take care of business. But again, I know Tong's going to go. I know McLean's going to go in that series. McLean should be going in that series if I'm not mistaken, right? Because he pitched yesterday, right? Wednesday, Thursday. Oh, he might not. Shit. So, so I think we're gonna. I don't
What are
even
you
know who's
talking
going.
about? What are you talking
Who's
about?
pitching for the Mets against the Reds? I know Tong's going to be
Tong
pitching,
McLean.
and then Sunday's
McLean got bumped up. McLean, I talked about this in the pregame
correct,
too. McLean got
regular rest.
bumped up on 4 days rest, and
Yeah.
Manaea is going in the first game in Philly. So they wanted to give Manaea an extra day of rest because of the
I-
fatigue and whatever it is.
I like
It
that.
makes sense. But that just shows you that Nolan McLean is the ace of
Yep.
this rotation right now.
Yeah,
Even after
and
4 starts.
Sunday's TBD. So I'm assuming it's going to be hopefully Sprout. that would be nice.
No,
right?
I think it's no, Rob. I think it's McLean. I'm pretty sure it's McLean. It's
So it's not
TBD right now on. Yeah, look, I mean, look. This is what Mike Puma said, or because Puma
Look,
reported it
I thought they were saying on the
yesterday.
broadcast that Sunday's a TBD, and they're not sure who's pitching. But maybe okay, you're probably right then, because there's no way that he can pitch on Friday.
Okay, so the Mets are leaning towards was the actual report, not official. So Mets are leaning toward bringing back Noel McLean on normal rest to pitch Sunday in Cincinnati, following Jonah Tong a night earlier on Saturday.
Okay,
That
so
would
it's
mean
Peterson, Tong, and possibly McLean in that series.
correct.
Okay, I got it. Okay,
Correct.
I forgot about Peterson's spot. All right, that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, so that's what it would be. And that just shows me, one, the utmost confidence in Nolan McLean, and also just Sean Manaea just needing to give him extra rest. I mean, Kodai Senga, we're going to know by Friday, apparently, if he's going to be willing to accept the minor league option and go back down there for a little bit of an assignment. So that's going to be a very bad look if Kodai Senga decides to reject that. I think this fan base is going to be pretty pissed off. This is basically the Mets asking nicely right now, hey, listen, we don't want to IL you. We want to send you down in a graceful way and have you come back up, because he's going to come back up. I mean,
Sure.
he's not going to be down there for long.
He has options though, right?
He's got 3 options, but in his clause
the
that he
Mets are
signed in
asking nicely.
2023.
Look, fuck that.
No, he's got a clause. No, Rob, you can't. He's got a clause in his contract that specifically states he has to grant them permission to send them down.
Unproven pitchers from Japan should not get no clauses. Like that should be a rule. It's so stupid. Like,
well, tell Epler that.
Yeah, I know, but you know what? I guarantee you, every one of the Japanese pitchers have something like that. Sasaki, Yamamoto, probably even Otani at the time. They probably all have that clause because it just looks bad on their image. Overall, probably that's probably the reason why. But yeah, if he says no, I mean, what do you do then? You just lose a roster spot because you can't pitch him. What are you going to have, bullpens for the next 2 weeks instead of throwing him down and let him pitch in an actual game? But honestly, I don't know what that's going to do, to be quite honest with you, with Senga. Like, what is he going to do? Strike out barely major leaguers in AAA? Like, I don't think it's confidence. I just think that he does not know how to pitch. He does not adjust in game. We talked about this. He does not adjust in game. He throws his fastball straight as an arrow, and that's what the hitters look for. He never throws his ghost fork, even though in his last start, early on, he did throw that ghost fork for strikes, which is shocking because 73% of the time he does not. So they're taking that as a hitter, saying he's not throwing that for a strike, so why am I swinging at it? And they wait for his fastball, and that's what's been killing him. And of course, the walks that don't help, which he's always had problems with. It's just that now the runs are scoring, and that's a huge difference. So
I see people talking about this too. I just want to set the record straight here. I'm talking about Sal and Dwayne. I'm talking about Mike Puma. He tweeted this out yesterday. If there was an update, please someone let me know. But they're saying that they're leaning towards having Nolan McLean get bumped up in this rotation and pitch Sunday against the Reds, which would make him not available for the Philly series at that point. That's what they're saying.
And Gary Cohen was wrong then, because I thought he said that they were gonna push up McLean on Saturday, pitch Tong on Friday, so they can have possibly, because they even put up a graphic on the on SNY during the game saying that Sunday was TBD, but they had McLean and Tong on a Friday or Saturday. I forgot who was pitching where, but they were talking about Sproat possibly being a guy on Sunday. That's why I'm so confused right now with it. Like,
That would make more sense to me, but I'm just going off of what Mike
yeah,
Puma
yeah.
said 16 hours ago.
Because
I mean, like I said, if there's another update, someone let me know. But that's what the last thing that
Tom
I
can
saw.
pitch on Friday because of the off day, and then McLean can pitch Saturday because of the off day, because it gives everybody an extra day who's not pitching. So that's why I'm thinking the TBD is either a Sproat or, God forbid, Senga on Sunday. So that's the only thing I can think of. Because, I mean, maybe. I don't know. The fact is, they better not have Senga pitching on Sunday. If they have Senga pitching on Sunday, I have no faith in this organization doing the right thing. I just don't for the remainder of the season. Because how much longer are you going to wait for Sproat? He's coming up on his next start. He cannot pitch in AAA his next time around. If that's the case, don't even waste your time. Leave him down there because you're not trying to win at the big league level. You're just not trying to. You're telling lies to everybody and every Mets fan. If Sproat is not making his next scheduled start wearing a Mets uniform, what the hell are we doing? What are we doing? I know we talked about this earlier, but where is the urgency? Like, what are you going to wait for the roster spot of Senga saying, okay, I'll go down? And that's when you say, okay, Sproat here. So the kid's going to not be scheduled, not pitch on his regular day's rest or regular start with regular rest. So you're going to give him extra days, which he probably hasn't done much of since, pitching in AAA, because he's been pitching every fifth day. And now you're just going to give him extra days off. Like, why do we keep on fucking with a Sproat when it comes to, bullpen today, starter tomorrow? Yeah, we're going to bring you up. No, we're not going to bring you up. We're not sure. Like, can you maybe they do internally already know what they're going to do, and they told Sproat this, and I hope they do, because you can't have them say, hey, on Friday, hey, you know what? Take a flight from Syracuse and come to Ohio. I know that's not like 3,000 miles away. It's not even, it's a short, somewhat flight, but come on. Like, they're making this harder than it is. Like send Manaea to the bullpen if you're gonna do that. I mean, he's pitching on Monday at this point, but you give him an extra day. Okay, that's kind of a last ditch effort to see if you can get anything out of Manaea, giving him an extra day. And Senga should I know they have to wait for his approval, but again, somebody trip him in the dugout. Give him the IL stint or something. Like, it's just, I mean, they're really making this harder than it is. It shouldn't be this hard. The decisions should be easy, and they're making it difficult. They're making us frustrated, and we're wasting our time with this Senga Manaea nonsense.
Well, Marcus is asking, yes, that's exactly right. And for everyone to understand this, yes, the Mets have asked officially Kodai Senga to go down to the minor leagues, and so they can utilize one of the options, one of the three options that he has on his contract. He was a rookie only back in 2023. It's not like he's been in this league for a long time, even though he's 30 plus years old. But there is a specific in writing clause when he first signed his contract with the Mets, right? That states he has to grant the Mets permission for them to be able to move him off the roster to the minor league. So that's why they have to ask him. He's going to be making his decision by Friday. We'll know if he accepts it or not. If he doesn't accept it, the Mets cannot send him down, no matter if he has an option or not, because he doesn't want to get sent down. And so that's why I said it would be a very bad look for Kodai Senga, hurting this team even more for the sake of being stubborn and wanting to remain on this roster. If you truly have the best interest of this team at heart, take your ass down to the minor leagues, figure out what you got to figure out, and you'll be back up as soon as you prove that you figured something out. It doesn't inspire any confidence. I trust in Kodai Senga to make the right decision here. He seems like a pretty noble guy, right? He seems like a pretty noble guy. And so I think he will be going down to the minor leagues. I'll be shocked if he doesn't. And the Mets will have a really big problem. And that won't set a good precedent for the next season when Senga ultimately is going to be here, because he hasn't hit the amount of innings to go back and be a free agent. He will be a New York Met in 2026. So there's really nothing you can do. If he declines, you cannot, there's nothing for you to do with Kodai Senga. He's going to be on the roster. You can actively choose to skip his start no matter what, just to skip it and prove a point. But I
But
don't
who's
know.
replacing him?
That would be a tough situation.
Yeah, and you lose a roster spot because of that. He's useless, and the roster, having 28 guys on a roster is basically 27. I know that's not the worst thing in the world, but you lose a pitcher out of your bullpen at the very least because you could have added somebody. But yeah, I don't know. You know what? If he says no, find a way to push his ass in a shower and let him hit his head or something. Like seriously, like you got to do something here. I'm not trying to joke stupid things like that, but it's like where is the like somebody's got to talk to him, like where Lindor or somebody, one of the captains of the team, one of the leaders of the team, take him to the side and go, listen, we need you. We know you're good. I mean, I don't believe that, but he's going to tell you, hey, we know you're good. We just need you to get right. We need you down the stretch in September. Hopefully somebody talks to him and says that if he's kind of like in between doing that or not. But again, if he says no, man, he's not gonna like what he hears when he hits that mound again at Citi Field for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I see Tyler in the chat here asking what team worries you in the wild card race. If you're talking about a matchup in the playoffs to face an opposing team, it's the Padres. If you're asking which team, and I think Tyler is a Giants fan, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong, Tyler, but I would still say probably the Reds. I think I have a little bit more confidence in the Reds over your Giants, but I mean the Giants are there too. I mean you can't deny
It's
them.
fine.
They're I feel like they're playing decent baseball, though I haven't really been keeping up with them because we've been so concerned with the Reds. But I think it's the Reds still, especially given that we see them yet again in this upcoming series, and the Reds have a very big opportunity to put a dent in that lead. But in terms of potential matchups in the first round, I would say I don't want to see the Padres.
Yeah, I agree with that. The Padres seem to have their own number. Again, the way this season has gone, nobody's really like invincible. But it just seems like the Padres pitching doesn't pitch well against anybody else but the Mets. They pitch against the Mets and they all look like Cy Young. But yeah, the Giants I think won 8 out of 9, and now they're tied with the Reds at the moment. So again, we can bury the Reds, but the Giants might be right behind them. That's a team, and I think the Giants have the season series, the tiebreaker against us. So,
do they? We swept them. How does that work out?
Did we lost 2 out of 3 in San Francisco, though, right? And then we swept them at home.
No,
I
we
don't remember.
swept them away
We did
before
sweep
the
them?
Padres series.
Padres. That's right. So what did we do at home?
Right? Am I not mistaken? Oh no, they took no, they did take 2. So I guess I had it wrong. But the series that the Giants and the Mets played, so yeah, the Giants came back. It was very close together. So before August hit, the Mets went to San Francisco and swept them, and then they took 2 of 3 at Citi Field, which still gives the advantage to the New York Mets.
So we got the
season
tiebreaker.
series.
Okay, so good. Okay, that helps because we don't play the Giants anymore. So that could come into play if the Reds fall apart and the Giants take over their spot. But yeah, and Drew Gilbert is the one that's red hot that's helping this team, of course. But again, what is Drew Gilbert doing with this team with the Mets? Right, he wouldn't be playing here because there's no one playing.
I said on the post game yesterday, I don't even care about Drew Gilbert. I mean, you can make a case that he could be patrolling center field, although I highly doubt it for this team. Jose Butto is the guy that's caught fire for them over there, and the Mets could use Jose Butto right now really badly.
Well, you know what? That's everybody's favorite Stearns making that decision. You know what? Giving up a prominent bullpen arm in your bullpen for Tyler Rogers, who's been pretty good, but I think you could have saved Butto and put somebody else in there. Again, I guarantee you the Giants were asking for another prospect and they didn't want to do it. He didn't want to do it, and now you had to give up somebody off your major league roster in your bullpen, and there you go.
The thing that hurts too is that Butto, like I hate to look back on this, but Butto could have been a starting rotation option for the Mets down the stretch too, because this is kind of like desperate times right now, and we don't have that luxury. And everyone was telling me, "Oh no, Butto's never going to be a starter anymore." This, that, and the other. And I'm like, well. You look at what the Mets rotation is doing now, they could sure use Jose Butto back to being a starter because he could give you 5-6 competitive innings, and he's proven that since he came back up. When was it? Back in 2023 in the late of that season.
As bad as the bullpen has been too, I mean, he might need Butto in the bullpen more at times. But who knows? Again, you're right. But again, it's kind of addition by subtraction, right? Tyler Rogers has been good for us, but it would have been nice to get Tyler Rogers along with keeping Jose Buto. And again, I wish we would find out if Stearns was not willing to give up another prospect in that deal, and he had to give up one of our better bullpen arms in the bullpen. Like, because like I hate giving guys off the major league roster while you're trying to add to this team at the trade deadline. I never liked that. Like, I mean, if you go back to the trade deadline shows and all those shows, I said that I don't like trading off my major league roster. I don't like that. I don't think that makes any sense. Regardless of if you think they can be expendable or not, I hate trading guys off the major league roster. And you know what? At the end of the day, can Tyler Rogers help win us a pennant and win a World Series? Sure. But right now, Jose Butte would look a lot better than Ryan Stanek right now, because Jose Butte now on this team is probably the reason why Ryan Stanek hasn't been DFA'd yet. Strong possibility. You know, maybe Helsley wouldn't have been a thought if Jose Butte was still on this team. Who knows? But you can't change that now. We got who we got. You know, we get to see Helsley with his 11.45 ERA as a New York Met. Tyler Rogers has been good but not great. Gregory Soto was outstanding for the first couple of weeks and then has struggled over the last week. He kind of settled things down a little bit, but hasn't been as good as he was. And Reed Garrett's hopefully coming back, and hopefully that injury was the reason why he wasn't pitching well, because Reed Garrett's very important. Chris said it earlier. Reed Garrett is very important for this team. You know, for a guy that you got off the scrap heap and figured things out, he is so important, because you know what? He will replace Ryan Helsley in whatever spot Ryan Helsley would pitch. And Mendoza might have the itch to put Helsley in. At least Reed Garrett will be another option that Mendoza can go to other than Helsley, because my God, like Helsley and Stanek, like it's just, oh my God, like there's nobody that can pitch in AAA that can be better than Ryan Stanek. Anybody. Give me a name. I don't care. I don't care who it is. I don't care if the guy has a 6 ERA. He can't be worse than Stanek. Like, this is what I don't understand. David Stearns is so fast to make all these stupid moves throughout the year, changing bullpen arms. You know what? Throw Hageman. Let him take Stanek's spot. Let's see what he can do. Why not, right? He's pitched well. Davinsky, same thing. Waddell, same thing. Give one of those guys a chance. They've pitched well. If I'm not mistaken, the other day, Gary Cohen, between Waddell, Davinsky, and Hageman, they have like a 3 ERA combined when they pitched. Why not give one of those guys a chance in Stanek's spot? I mean, if they're not good, they'll probably be a little bit better than Stanek anyway. I don't know what they're going to do anymore. It's coming to the point where it's like we really don't have time to figure out all this stuff with 22 games to go. And oh, by the way, we still also have to try to clinch a playoff spot along with figuring things out when we get to the playoffs. I can't wait for that playoff preview show, because oh my God, what we're going to try to figure out with a rotation and a bullpen. I mean, my God, playoff roster and all that. I mean, I'm already exhausted thinking about it, and we're a month away. Like, I mean, Chris, I have nothing else. I don't know if you want to say anything else about this game and or any final thoughts.
I don't care what anyone says. I'm still mad that we didn't see Tyler Rogers in this game. I'm still mad. That's what I want to say. I mean, it's inexcusable not to see him in this game in favor of Helsley. I'm sorry. I mean, there's a lot of things that compounded why the Mets lost this game. You know, we didn't really talk much. I mean, I don't even want to care to talk about this that much, but the Mets did have bases loaded with a chance to, take the lead or at least tie up the ball game with Marte coming up at the plate, grounds out to a double play against Canely. And the offense fell short, but it's just like with how good this offense has been, it's a moot point. I mean, they shouldn't need to put up. I mean, 2 runs is not going to really get it done no matter what, even if the pitching is on point. You need to score more than 2 runs. But with the clip of, or the rate, I should say, of how long and for how many runs they've been scoring, that's the least of the Mets' problems right now. That's the least of their problems. And so that offense is going to need to take advantage of a very hitters-friendly ballpark and Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati and try to just will this pitching towards victory, because, outside of Nolan McLean, hopefully David Peterson can turn it around, although he's been kind of shaky. there's the Mets are running out of options. In fact, that they're probably already out of options. You've got Sproat waiting, a guy like a bullpen guy like Dylan Ross, who's killing it in AAA. He's got like a 2.08 ERA as of last night when he threw 2 scoreless innings, is a viable bullpen option if the Mets really need bullpen help. I just can't think of, you know, I don't even want to go there, but with the Helsley discussion, it's not like you're not going to DFA him. You're not going to not pitch him, but at the same time, he is unpitchable. Like he's not pitchable right now. So what do you do with him? Like like if you're Mendoza, I'm curious to ask you, what do you do with Ryan Helsley?
I don't know, because you also have Ryan Stanek in there that you don't want to pitch either. Like you can't not pitch any of those guys. That takes 2 guys out of your bullpen every day. What do? You could throw them in mop-up duty, but we've seen them in mop-up duty. They get thrown in mop-up duty. They give up 4 or 5 runs, and now you have to bring in somebody who you can actually, that can actually get outs, and you're wasting them as well. So I don't know. Like, unless you DFA them, which they're not DFAing Helsley. They're not. Like, he got too good of stuff to do that because he can turn it around like that, and he'll be one of your best relievers. Stanek is another discussion. There's got to be somebody in AAA. Like, I don't have the AAA roster on, but can they give me a bullpen? Give me anybody that can pitch in the bullpen in the minors that can replace Stanek. If not, we got Hageman, Waddell, Davinsky. Give one of those guys the spot.
Dylan Ross, I just said it. That's your bullpen arm right
too.
there.
Why not? Like, I don't see what's the big deal. I don't understand it. Like, they keep on going to Ryan Stanek in mostly mop-up duty at this point, or while the Mets are down a couple of runs, and they throw him in there, and he blows up the game. Or he gives up 4 or 5 runs in a game where the Mets are blowing a team out, and you still got to use one of your regular guys out of the bullpen. So I don't know. Like, this isn't a situation where it's April and you can figure out you can bury guys in the bullpen for a week or 2 if you wanted to, but it's not April anymore. It's September. You need every guy on this roster because it's impossible, especially just coming off 16 straight games in a row. This is our first off day. Remember we talked about that. The Mets had 16 games in a row with no off day. Tomorrow's their first day off in 16 days. And I think we have another one after the Philly series. So we have 2 off days within a week. So, like, I don't know. I wish I had the answer, but I don't. You can bury Helsley, but then Stanek's going to pitch in his spot at times. So either way, you're going to get, you're between a rock and a hard place when you're Mendoza. Because again, as much as you want to use Rogers at that much, you're going to kill the guy. You really are. And then when he's overused, I'm not going to say tired, but he's going to be overused. And then when you're going to need him in a big spot, he's not going to be as good. And I want him to be as good as possible. Because, again, what are you supposed to do when Soto has been pretty decent, but not as good as he was? And, that's it. Like, I don't know. There's really no answer anymore.
As much as, now I lost my train of thought.
Sorry.
As much as, I don't know what I was going to say, but we were talking about this topic before too, about Dylan Ross and kind of like the scouting reports surrounding him. He is another flamethrower, just like Helsley and Stanek. He's got a upper 90s fastball that can touch 101 miles per hour. So does that sound familiar with these 2 guys that we have right now that are stinking it up with Stanek and Helsley? And he's got a splitter and a slider in the high 90s. And so that's a viable option. If Stanek is DFA'd or if Stanek has a phantom IL stint himself. And, I understand he was good for the Mets, in the playoffs last season. Stanek was, but I mean, that's a very large expectation to put on a guy that has been putrid for you this entire season.
Yeah.
This bullpen needs to be shuffled around. And I agree. If the decision is to bury Helsley, I'm sure they'll give him another opportunity or 2 to figure it out. But at some point, just like this rotation, enough has to be enough. And if you need to bury Helsley and put him in the mop-up duty like Stanek's been in, then so be it. You got to find another home for Stanek that's not on this roster, and you got to do anything possible to do that. And then you also have to call up an arm like Dylan Ross that can maybe pitch higher leverage innings for you than those 2 other guys. It's just sad that we're having these conversations. It's really sad. And it's just should not have been a problem whatsoever for this team, and now it is. And you talk about about a time where the bullpen is taxed and they're looking like, just defeated overall. I know Reed Garrett was bad, when he was put on the shelf on the IL, but boy, it looks like we need Reed Garrett back in a major way, and hopefully he comes back with a vengeance, Rob. And that's really all I have. We'll see what they do. The offense just has to continue this pace, especially against the Reds. Take advantage of the hitter friendly ballpark, and just hope and pray on the days that Tong and McLean aren't pitching. That's pretty much what we're faced with right now.
Yeah, and my final thought is the fact that how you not use Stanek and Helsley, your starters got to go deeper into games. They go deeper into games, you don't have to worry about using these guys as often as possible because they're going to give you more innings. That is the stem of all the problems leading to the bullpen. So, hopefully Sproat comes up here and pitches sometime over the next couple of days, and it helps out, hopefully. But
can I say something real quick before we go? Look at this quote. This just pissed me off right before that we're about to end this. Ryan Helsley says his execution has been okay, could probably be a little better. Really? Really, dude? He said it feels like guys are swinging at 100 like it's 91 right now. When you feel like you have to go out there and be perfect, it's not a good thing. Hey, Mr. Helsley, heads up. You haven't even been close to perfect. Your location sucks, and you should probably stop making excuses about whatever you wanted to say to media about your execution, where we all are watching with our eyes. This is not a dumb fan base all in all. You cannot tell us that you are executing correctly when you're out there walking the ballpark. Your execution sucks, and stop focusing on the tipping of pitches and focus on your pitch location. Just like Keith Hernandez was saying all broadcast long. And if you don't believe me, go back and replay the game if you have the ability to do so, and just listen to the tone of Keith's voice when he was talking about how just disgusting of an effort and execution it was, especially on the slider or curveball, whatever that Helsley has to offer for his off-speed pitches. So I don't want to hear that from Helsley anymore. This guy's gonna piss a lot of people off. So that's a terrible quote.
Speaking of Keith Hernandez, he's so sick and tired of the teams not knowing what the hell to do when the Mets steal bases. Like, he's so frustrated by that. Like, he's like, oh, how can they just step off? Somebody say something. Like, but you know what? It's benefiting the Mets, so nobody cares. So, but unfortunately, the Mets did not sweep the Tigers, lose 6-2 going into the off day tomorrow, and head for a big series in Cincinnati where the Mets can actually bury a team once and for all in the Cincinnati Reds. Let's see if they do that. I'm assuming there'll be a show tomorrow on the off day. We'll see. I don't know. Yeah, I'm sorry. I just lost my train of thought for a second. But thank you for tuning in to the Mets postgame show on the channels and on X. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you either tomorrow or Friday for an off day show or a pregame show, guys. Have a good night, and let's go Mets.
Meet the Mets, meet the Mets. Step right up and greet the Mets. Bring your kiddies, bring your wife. Guaranteed to have the time of your life because the Mets